And the second we were announced as no longer Jehovah's Witnesses, it was radio silence. We had friends and family friends, and my in-laws are like less than a mile from our house. So I see them at the grocery store, you know, out driving around, or just at Target. I'm at Target all the time and I run into them there. They don't look at you. If you are on the same aisle and they see you, they turn and walk the other way. They pretend you do not exist. Everyone we've ever known has blocked us on like all social media. It's intense. Like, you literally are dead to them. Like, you don't exist in their life anymore. My father is an elder in the Jehovah's Witness world, which is like kind of the highest up they can be in the congregation. They have a little bit more leniency when they're an elder to speak with people who have left, because they're shepherding the flock still, or trying to bring people back in. So I always kind of held out this hope for my dad that there could be potentially, eventually, some normal relationship there. He did find out I was speaking out online, which probably did not help things. He was like, I'd like to maybe meet up and discuss being in each other's lives. And I was like, yes, that's all I've been asking for like the last 2 years. Yes, let's do that. And then I pull up and I see him dressed like an elder, and I was like, oh crap, this is not going the way it's going to go. I could see the wall go up the second I said that things were good and that I didn't say things were falling apart. And it was like, he was just like, he didn't know what to do with himself. And I knew that was going to dictate the rest of this conversation.
Lay down my autonomy.
After that, it got very dark very quickly.
Hey, my name is Shalise Ansola, and this is Cults to Consciousness, where we discuss leaving high-demand religions or organizations and finding healing and independence through awareness and true individual sovereignty. If you're only listening on the podcast platforms and you would prefer to see our faces, we would love it if you come to YouTube instead, because it is the best way to support the show, interacting with the post, liking, sharing, commenting, of course, leaving those words of encouragement for our guests who are bravely sharing their stories. These are real people, guys, and I just have to remind everybody of that. I know we're used to jumping in our worlds of TV and watching true crime and all of that, but these are people who are here being vulnerable, and so we love that our community rallies around them, and it supports podcast. So today's guest, you've seen her once already. Her video has over 117,000 views. If you have not seen that, don't worry, you don't have to click off. We're going to give an overview of her story. You can watch this update, and then you can go back and watch the first interview. The link will be in the description. So we're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. We are talking about the aftermath of being completely shunned by friends and family, what that does to a person. She actually left with her family, so she had a family in Jehovah's Witnesses, and now we are talking about a reunion with her father after 2 years of leaving, and we're going to get into all of the emotions of that, some of the new updates in the rules with Jehovah's Witnesses, and just how her family is doing now. So thanks so much for joining us, Alissa Watson.
Thank you so much for having me back on. It's good to chat more about this.
Yeah, and if you are here now, guys, from Alissa's channel, because you just watched our collab over there, welcome to C2C. Good to have you here. If you are starting over here on Cults to Consciousness after you finish this video and Alissa's interview, you can go and watch our collab that we just did over there, talking about the similarities between Mormonism, which I was born and raised in, and Jehovah's Witnesses. They are truly sister cults, and I just went on a bunch of rants, so if you want to see me get heated, we talked about how I turned my pitchfork into passion, and I get a little riled up when I talk about Mormonism. So anyways, back to you, Alissa. Well, all that to say, go check out Alissa's channel too, not just for our collab, but she has great stuff over there. So we want to do an update with you. So many people were invested in your story, and for those who aren't familiar, let's just give everyone like a rundown, your story in a nutshell before we get to the reunion with your dad.
Yes. Okay. So I was born and raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was actually a fourth generation. I was in it for 35 years before I woke up and realized I was in a cult. Before that, I thought I was in the one true religion, and I was just so thankful for that. It was having babies. I had 2 children that kind of made me start thinking about the religion I was in and what I was raising them in. And there was just, I had to do some research on it. And the video I did with you talked a lot about the blood doctrine, or the no blood that you're supposed to take as a Jehovah's Witness. And that was kind of the beginning of the crack in the foundation, you could say, for both my husband and myself. When we had babies, we realized we were not going to sacrifice them to a doctrine that made no sense. And we just kind of spiraled from there in deconstructing and realizing we were in a cult. And we left, it's over 2 years ago. So July 2023 was the day that we wrote a letter and we said, we are no longer Jehovah's Witnesses. My husband, myself, and our 2 children, they were like 1 and 3.5 at that time. We left and we started our lives over again, because when you leave Jehovah's Witnesses, you lose everyone. They are very, very into shunning. And we lost parents, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, friends, everything. So we have had to rebuild our lives for the last 2 years. And we're every day still struggling sometimes with the mental toll that has taken on us. But we have been able to like really live a beautiful life in those last 2 years that we've had so far. So that's a little bit of
Yeah.
a rundown of my story.
And what a, hate to call it a blessing, what a fortunate thing that both you and your husband deconstructed at the same time, because that's not the case for a lot of people. And I guess you would call that a mixed faith marriage. And it tends to put a lot of strain on a relationship, especially if you were both in the religion when you got married. You kind of have this idea of how your life is going to go. It's all pre-planned, written out for you. At least that's how it is in Mormonism. And I feel like it's probably the same for Jehovah's Witnesses. And then when one partner says, you know what, I don't believe this anymore, it can completely derail everything. And so it's awesome that you had your husband to fall back on. In fact, he was the one who started deconstructing first, right?
Yeah, so he was the one, he was probably a full year before me. And he kind of hid it for a while. He was afraid to say anything because, like you said, it puts strain on a marriage. And as a Jehovah's Witness, if you have an unbelieving mate, they really start trying to put a wedge between you. And, you know, he was so terrified of losing not only me, but his children. When he finally opened up to me, I was like, I trusted him enough to start doing my own research. And thankfully, we were on the same page, because that would have been really
Yeah.
hard. I don't know how people do it when they are dealing with, you know, one deconstructing and one still being like fully in it. I know it's ended a lot of marriages, and that's just unfortunate, but it's just the nature
Yeah.
of the beast when you are in a cult. They don't want an outsider in your life.
Which is so sad that they would even be willing to separate immediate families just because of a belief system. And we need to get more into the shunning for those who aren't familiar, just to know the extent and the depth of it so that they can fully understand how big of a deal it was that you met up with your dad.
It is. They kind of view you as dead once you leave. You are both spiritually dead, and in their minds, you are just like no longer a human. So, case in point, we live in the same area. We have lived our entire life being married. We've been married over 18 years, and we had friends and family friends, and my in-laws are like less than a mile from our house. So I see them at the grocery store, you know, out driving around, or just at Target. I'm at Target all the time and I run into them there. They don't look at you. If you are on the same aisle and they see you, they turn and walk the other way. They pretend you do not exist. And like some people may say that's like, that's probably just them choosing that, or that's like maybe too harsh of a way to explain it, but it's true. They're terrified of you. That's honestly the only way I can explain it, is they're so afraid of you because they're told that when people leave, and especially when they speak out like I do online, I am Satan, like his mouthpiece. So they're so scared of you that they will like run from you. They won't respond to text messages. I know my husband has reached out to his own family a few times, just saying he misses them. They don't respond. They've blocked, like everyone we've ever known has blocked us on like all social media. It's intense. Like you literally are dead to them. Like you don't exist in their life anymore.
It's so dehumanizing. And if anyone tries to say that's not doctrine, I have seen the propaganda myself. I have
Yep.
watched the videos.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is so cringy. The reasons that they give really make no sense at all. I mean, I can see the thing playing out in my head of the son who leaves and the mother who is just painstakingly heartbroken, and she wants to call her son, but if she does, she is going to ruin Jehovah's plan, because the whole point of cutting someone off, as far as what I remember from this little vignette, was if you cut them off, that's how you show them you love them. And because of how miserable they are, they're going to come back to the church. And so if you reach out to them even once, you are going to disrupt that process and their soul will be lost, and it'll be your fault for just talking to your child.
Yep. No, exactly. They think that they call shunning a loving arrangement, and
Ugh.
that's what they fill people's head with. So when you shun a loved one who leaves, whether it is your parent, your sibling, your child, you're doing it because you love them. And it's because it will basically shake them to realize that there's no life outside of that organization. But it's backfiring
Yeah.
because they're so used to dealing with like teenagers who they discipline. And if you are familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses, they have things called judicial committees where, let's say you have premarital sex, they will disfellowship you potentially for that, which means you get excommunicated from the organization, you get shunned, and it's like basically a form of discipline. And so they're used to dealing with those teenagers who have nothing in life. They're still maybe in their parents' house being shunned even by their parents.
Insane.
It's insane. It is so insane. And they'll come back because it's all they know. It's the only life they want because they want their family. What's wrong now is you have grown adults like my husband and myself. You have people in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s leaving, and they just don't care. They're like, that's fine. You can shun me. I'm not going back. I know what this organization really is. And I really feel like it's backfiring. They've changed their stance a tiny bit on shunning, but I don't think it'll ever fully go away because it's their way of controlling the people that are still in it. Because if
Yeah.
they are just like, it's a free for all, sure, you can talk with your, like in our case, you can have a relationship with your children again and your grandchildren. They might actually hear something that makes them think and go like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this organization. So
Yeah, they
it's all
have to
control.
maintain the narrative. They have to maintain control over information because, like you said, if they even get a glimpse of what you know, then they're going to start to question and they have to keep people isolated. And that's the craziest thing about Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and in those types of religions is they're hiding in plain sight. They're in the world, but they're still completely cut off in so many ways to where it's almost like if you've never been in it, you can't fathom what it's like to be living in a world that has such tunnel vision. There's really no way to explain it because, yeah, you're in the world. Yeah, you see TV and whatever, but you're not really internalizing it. You're not taking it in. You're just labeling it good and bad. It's very black and white. And you're just so naive to the world. And I don't say that in a negative way or like trying to put anyone down. It's just truly impossible for someone who's never been in it to understand the perspective, and for someone who has never left it to understand that they are in that perspective. Does that make any sense?
No, it does. No, it does. It's like, yeah, when you're in it, like you said, you're still in the world. You're still working with people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. You're going to school, you're whatever, but it's so drilled in your brain. I think we talked about this on my channel that it's like you have the one true religion. You are different. So even if you're being exposed to stuff, you're still thinking like these people aren't really happy. These people don't really know what they're talking about. We're the only ones that have this true knowledge, this true faith. And it's just like you're so blinded. And like you said, it's like this tunnel vision of like black and white, and you just don't realize the reality of anything,
Mhm.
sadly.
And to further expand on that, for someone who did not grow up in a cult, I guess the best way to put it is when you grow up and this is your reality, they could be telling you the sky is purple your entire life. And you look around you and you're like, oh, well, the lawyer knows the sky is purple. This doctor who's clearly smart knows the sky is purple. If I'm seeing blue, I'm the problem. It's not
Hmm.
these guys. Like everyone else is on board. What's wrong with me? It's this group think that really conditions you to just believe it. Meanwhile, the doctor and the lawyer are going, is that really purple? Because it kind of looks blue. But nobody's saying that out loud because if you do, you're going to be told that you're doing something wrong. You need to pray more. You need to read your scriptures more. You need to be more valiant. You need to serve more. All of these things that are taking up your time and your talents and your energy so that you don't have time to focus on the color of the sky because it's like, just, I'm not going to think about it. I just need to focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's why we call them high control groups because they've controlled every single aspect of your life to such a degree that you don't even have the bandwidth to question if you've been lied to because why would you? Everyone else is falling in line. You're the issue. Just keep going, keep trudging along. Doubt your doubts, as the Mormons would say. There are clips of authorities saying, before you doubt your faith, doubt your doubts. And it's like, that's a thought-stopping cliche. There are all of these things that they do to keep you in line so that you're in a mental prison and you don't even realize it.
Yes. And like we talked about, like, so for my husband and myself, when COVID happened and everything shut down, it's kind of what started, I think, doubts trickling in, because it was the first time we were off that hamster wheel that was the religion, which is like, you are busy all the time that you have no, like you said, you have no time to think, you have no time to even like put any effort into those doubts you may have somewhere deep rooted. And it's a high control religion for a reason. They know what they're doing. They keep you busy. They keep you surrounded by it so that you don't have a chance to let your brain go, something doesn't feel right with this.
Yeah. And then when you do start having those questions, they employ the thought stopping cliches that make you stop again and make you question your sanity, make you question your own intuition. In fact, squashing it is the ultimate goal. If they can completely kill your intuition, they have won. You are no longer going to fight back. You are no longer going to ask questions. You're just going to go with the flow. And you're going to be one of those members that maybe you're not truly believing. Maybe you're not like, yes, this is the way. And maybe you're not like, wait, something sounds weird. Maybe I should look into it. You're just right here. And those are the ones that usually have the best experience because they're not internalizing things. They are not fully experiencing the guilt and the shame if they were to be true believers, right? They're just kind of right here going along with it. And then they see us and they're like, what are they so mad about? This is fine.
I don't understand it.
I don't know. Yeah.
What's wrong with
Why
you?
are people so upset? Like, it's not that hard to be Mormon. It's not that hard to be Jehovah's Witness, you know?
What's the happiest I've ever been? I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Meanwhile, and it's been proven statistically that those who generally leave religion, and I mean completely leave, records removed, no longer associated with it, are usually the most devout. And it's because through all of their devout research, through all of their readings, looking in the early history of the church, looking into the policies, reading the conference talks, doing all the things start to pop up and they have questions. And then when no one can answer them, that's when they leave. Truly. Like it's never they never believed anyway. Oh, they never really had a testimony. It's the ones who are the most devout that have the most questions.
Yeah, they start doing some deep research. That was my husband's case. He started doing deep research to prove this to himself, to his core, so he could be a better father and a better leader of our family. And then it like backfired because he was like, oh, wait a minute, none of this is adding up. Yeah, it's nuts.
So you have been living in this shunned, I don't want to say lifestyle, the shunned world where you've been completely cut off from your family and friends. Let's just briefly talk about what it's been like being cut off. I mean, what is the actual reality, the day-to-day things, stuff that maybe comes up and you wish it was different, or any of those really relatable things that someone could point to and be like, yes, I had the same experience from being cut off.
It's a truly strange place to be. I was very close to my family. We were very close to my husband's family. I talked to my mom every day. I texted my sister all day, every day. It's a weird feeling to go from that. And it was literally overnight. So it was like I was around everyone. I was talking with everyone. And the second we were announced as no longer Jehovah's Witnesses, it was radio silence. And it's weird because there's a lot of ups and downs. I think this is just part of healing in general. But I'll have moments where I'm just like, I don't really miss anyone. I felt like they brought more like turmoil to our lives than anything. But you still have those moments where, like my daughter's first day of kindergarten, like sadness because, grandparents should be there, like excited about this and getting photos of her first day. The dumbest little things of like, I see something that makes me think of my sister. I wish I could text her. She's blocked my number. I can't even reach out to her. It is an everyday kind of battle of like what feels normal and what is our reality. So what feels normal is your family is a safe place for you to be able to go to talk with, to share things with, especially once you become a parent. Like milestones should be shared with family, and you don't have that. And you could technically, I guess, send a message, but you're not going to get a response. And then it's kind of like, I'm at this point with my children where I'm like, you don't have access to my children because you refuse to even acknowledge I exist. So my kids don't have 2 sets of grandparents because of this. They don't have aunts and uncles. They're getting adoptive aunts and uncles and cousins and friends and family. We thankfully have my husband's biological father in our life, who is a grandfather, and his wife is a grandmother. But had we not had that, I think I would deal with a lot more probably resentment that my children don't have like a normal family unit. We still don't have a normal family unit, but at least we do have some flesh and blood in our life. That makes it a little bit easier. But it's just the day-to-day ups and downs of even like little things like I want to go get my hair done. And I used to call my mom and she'd come down for the day and take care of the kids. And it was like exciting for them. And it was nice for me because it was somebody I relied on. Now it's like, oh my gosh, we have to find a sitter, someone we trust. We have to rely on somebody. It's hard. It's definitely, it's a difficult thing. My husband and myself are like on our own pretty much. We don't have any family locally that can help us. We do have some friends we're building up, but it's still like a weird, I don't know, with family, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, take the kids for us. I don't know. I think it's just because it's family. Now it's like, oh my gosh, I feel guilty asking someone to like come watch the kids for us to even have a date night. So like, it's just hard. Every aspect of your life where you have family and it's taken away, it's like a daily reminder almost that they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, it must be heartbreaking just not having that open communication. I am super close with my mom too. I talk to her every day, and I don't know what I would do if all of a sudden she just pretended I didn't exist. It would be so disheartening and upsetting to just lose that overnight and over what you believe in. It doesn't make any sense.
As a mom myself, that's been one of the hardest things for me is like when it comes to my parents, like you brought me into this world. Like how can you just completely wash your hands of me and act like I don't exist anymore? And then I get angry because I'm like, and you act like your grandchildren don't even exist because I don't want anything to do with your religion. Like, and because I've also told them I think I talked about this in our first video, but we had set up a few occasions of meeting up with our parents after we left the religion to try and like, we didn't want to keep our kids from them. That was like never our goal. We wanted them to still have a relationship, but we had rules that were like, you can't shun us to our face when our children are there. You can't act weird. You have to pretend things are normal for the kids' sake so that they don't see like all of a sudden, grandpa hugs mom all the time and now he like barely looks at her. Like our kids are going to pick up on that eventually.
Yeah.
And we told them like we just didn't want them witnessing shunning because it is a form of emotional abuse. And I don't think children should see that as being okay ever. Because what happens if in 20 years my daughter's in a relationship with a man who is emotionally abusing her and she's just seen it her whole life with my parents and me, and she just thinks it's normal. So we told them this is not happening and they agreed to it, and then they couldn't actually do it. Like they wouldn't look at me, they wouldn't speak to me, they were so uncomfortably awkward with us. So we stopped seeing them, and it was like they made this choice to like not even put their shunning on the back burner for 2 hours a month for the sake of my children. I don't get it. I will never understand it. And I know it's never going to fully change. And like they claim all the time, shunning is not mandatory. It is not something they require from their followers, but it is very much a requirement. Like if you don't shun, if my parents weren't shunning me or my in-laws weren't shunning us, they would be dealing with repercussions for themselves. Like being removed from the congregation is something that could happen to them if they didn't shun us. So it's like, it is definitely required. They have to.
Yeah. So it's their own self-preservation that's preventing them from probably doing what they want to do, which is see your children. And it's also really frustrating that it's the kids who pay the price the most because they're the ones who are never going to know their grandparents. They're not going to have memories of them, really. And if they do, is it going to be a good memory? I don't know. But I'm sure that has put you in such a hard position because if they do reach out and say, okay, we do want to see the kids, we'll play by your rules, you still have every right to be like, no, you acted like I was dead and I'm your own kid. And now all of a sudden you want to see my kids and you have to weigh the pros and cons of your children having a relationship with them because in some ways they deserve that. But then in other ways, do your parents deserve that relationship with your kids for how they've treated you?
We obviously haven't had to deal with it much because, again, we haven't heard anything from my husband's side since we left. So, like, that door to me is pretty closed. I don't know if anything will ever change, but on my side, I've dealt with my dad through the last 2 years will reach out occasionally through text message, letting me know he's thinking about me, telling me he misses me, misses the kids. So I always kind of held out this hope for my dad that there could be potentially, eventually, some normal relationship there. He was not raised a Jehovah's Witness. His entire family are not Jehovah's Witnesses. So he has always been able to be more balanced, I guess is the right word. He would be around his siblings and his nieces and nephews and, for family meals and barbecues. He never did holidays or birthdays with them because Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that, but he was around them regularly. So I thought, when the dust settled and maybe the emotions were not as high, he would finally go like, okay, maybe I can like find that gray area with my daughter, because I'm not like living some sinful life. I'm still the same person. I'm just not technically a Jehovah's Witness. I'm worldly now, but it's been a battle for 2 years, and he did find out I was speaking out online, which probably did not help things. And he was telling me that this was like way back when we first left. He told me I was burning bridges by speaking out, and I was like, burning bridges with who? Like, we have no relationship with anyone. So what
Yeah.
bridges am I burning? Those bridges
The
have already been
bridges are
burnt.
long ash
Yeah,
by
they've
now.
been gone for a while. But he did finally reach out. It was like the beginning of this year that he was like, I'd like to maybe meet up and discuss being in each other's lives. And I was like, yes, that's all I've been asking for like the last 2 years. Yes, let's do that. And then it was radio silence for a while, and he was kind of back and forth. And we finally set a date to meet up. And it was just going to be me. I told him, I don't want to bring kids into this until something is set in stone. And me and my husband have had the agreement that if and when something changes, it has to be proven to us first before they get access to the kids. Like, this isn't going to be a like one time you're really nice and then you're gone for a year again and we don't hear anything, we don't see you. Like, we want this to be a healthy relationship that we bring kids into if and when that happens. So
Yeah.
he agreed to it. And I was like very hopeful about the meeting. Naively, now looking back, I was being very naive. I grew up in this religion. I know what this religion is like, but I was hopeful that my dad was going to be a dad. And things did not pan out that way, unfortunately. And I feel like it's just another, I guess the saying is like a nail in the coffin of realizing like they are so brainwashed that there could probably never, ever be a relationship. And that's like been kind of a battle I've been dealing with for like a month. Well, since we met, I think it was 3 weeks ago, of like, it's almost like re-mourning the loss of my father. And it's horrific. It's horrible.
Yeah. Can you describe the situation where you met, how he treated you?
Yeah. So we live kind of near the airport near us, and he was dropping my mom off at the airport. And he was like, let's meet at like, there's this like a little parking lot you stay at when you're waiting for people to come in and out. There's a Dunkin' Donuts inside. So we went inside. And when I got there, he was walking in the building, like when I was pulling into the parking lot, and I saw he was dressed up like he was going to a meeting or going out in the door to door. And it was like the first red flag in my head. And I was like, oh, geez, there was alarm bells going off, because to me, my father is an elder in the Jehovah's Witness world, which is like kind of the highest up they can be in the congregation. They have a little bit more leniency when they're an elder to speak with people who have left, because they're shepherding the flock still or trying to bring people back in. So my head instantly went to, oh, he's viewing this as like elder him and not dad him. Like this, he's not coming here to be a dad, he's coming here to be an elder. So I walked in with like already kind of like, this is not going to go the way I was hoping. I was driving the whole day thinking like, oh my gosh, maybe like he's going to say he wants to be around us and we can see him monthly, and maybe we can invite him over for weekend things or take him to the zoo or whatever. I had all these things and scenarios playing out in my head. And then I pull up and I see him dressed like an elder, and I was like, oh crap, this is not going the way it's going to go. We talked for like 25 minutes, maybe. It was a very short visit. And the first thing he said, we sat down, he goes, in that like elder, I think I've talked about like the tone of voice like Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses use. It's like very mild. And he was like, how's life? And I genuinely think, because Jehovah's Witnesses have the propaganda videos running through their head all the time of people who leave and their lives are miserable and marriages fall apart and they're into drugs and they're alcoholics and everything's horrible. And I was like, things are good. We miss family, but we are good. Like the kids are thriving. Like I'm like, we're building a new like support system. And I'm like, I've made some really great friends. And I talked about her daughter and how she's just thriving in school and has like a million little friends because she's just like the most social little butterfly. And he literally just, I could see the wall go up the second I said that things were good and that I didn't say things were falling apart. And it was like, he was just like, he didn't know what to do with himself. And I knew that was going to dictate the rest of this conversation.
Yeah.
He talked about he said, like, I just don't understand why you left Jehovah God. And I said, I didn't leave God. I left an organization. Like, I said, there's a difference between an organization and God. I didn't leave God. I left an organization. When we left, we didn't tell any family anything we discovered about this organization that led us to our leaving, because we didn't really feel like it was our place at that point. We didn't want to like just throw all this stuff out there and look like crazy lunatics to them. So we kind of just kept quiet. And he was just like, he kind of kept pushing, like, I just don't understand why you leave. I don't understand why you leave. And I had a moment of like, okay, so I can either continue to be quiet and just be like, I don't think it's my place to tell you, or I can finally shed some light on some of the things I found.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, let's do this in the most like calm, peaceful manner, so that, again, I'm already called an apostate in that world because I'm vocally out, like, speaking out against it. So I didn't want to be like this crazy, like, it's a cult, it's crazy. Like, so I just told him, and the biggest thing for us was when we uncovered that they hide child abusers a lot, and it's been a problem for years, and they just kind of shuffle them around. They don't report them to authorities. And I kind of just explained some of the stuff I found. And I said, as a mom, I was not comfortable raising my children in an organization that claimed to be the one true religion, who were treating children in such a horrible manner and protecting predators over children. And he went, how do you know what you're seeing isn't lies? And I'm like, oh my God. I said, I have read court documents, watched videos from the court transcripts and like them actually interviewing people. I said, one of the governing body members himself under oath said, it appears we may have a systemic issue with child abuse in the way we're handling it. I'm like, if that's a lie, why are they saying it under oath? One, as one of Jehovah's true Christians.
Mhm.
And he just was like, I mean, but they can change it to make it seem like it's something else. And I'm like,
He's
oh my
claiming
Lord.
AI or out of
Yeah.
context.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I have to jump in here and just be like, you're so brave to give actual reasons. I've been in that situation, and when they keep pressing and you're like, here goes, knowing that they're not gonna accept anything that you say, because when you're on the other side, which we both have been, and people are confronting you with that information, it's just no, 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 no. Ex-Mormon propaganda, propaganda,
Yeah.
propaganda. You're lying. None of that's real.
It's all
Like, I've
lies.
been on that side too. So to be
Yeah.
the one to be like, oh, this is gonna go nowhere, but I
Yeah.
have to do it, because also a part of you is thrilled. Like, oh, I can finally plant a seed. Like, they've opened the door just enough for me to be like, plant, go look this up later. You know?
Yeah.
It's such a hard place to be in. And his response is so classic. I would be shocked if it were anything different other than it's made up, it's fake, they don't know, it's the adversary, it's Satan, it's AI, it's whatever, anything but actually looking the truth in the face. Like, they can't. We've talked about this. They don't have the bandwidth to question it, because that would mean unraveling their entire life in that moment, and they're not willing to do that.
I specifically brought that up because one, he's an elder, so he has access to their like secret elder handbook. And I did mention, I said, I find it very concerning that they direct elders to contact their headquarters when an accusation is brought to them and not authorities first.
Yes.
I'm like, that's just very concerning to me. And he kind of seemed like taken off, like, oh my gosh, like, how does she know about
does
this
she know
secret
that?
hand? Yeah. Like, how does she know these things? But it's like, he
Yeah.
can't deny that because he has read it. He has seen it for himself. So I was like,
Yeah.
this is, to me, was the best thing I could bring up, as opposed to being like, well, I looked at the bite model and it, like, you know,
Sure.
it checks everything that it's a cult or, you know, some doctrine or something. So yeah, it didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. He did the classic, like, it's lies. Are you sure? It's like, he started shifting his body like more and more as we were talking, where he had like his arm on the table and he was like in that stance of almost like trying to stand the entire conversation after like the first 5 minutes. And he brought up an aunt of mine. I actually interviewed her on my channel. She left the Jehovah's Witnesses like 40 years ago. She woke up from it as well. She's been shunned for 40 years. by her entire family. My mom is her oldest sister. But he was like, I just don't want you to turn out like her and regret leaving. And I literally was like, we're in contact. Like, we've had Thanksgiving together. Like, we see her. She's come to our house. The kids know her. I'm like, she doesn't regret leaving. I'm like, she regrets missing out on time with her family, but she also knows that's not on her. And he seemed shocked by that. Like, I do think that they think you leave and you just are like wallowing in self-pity every day, not like living life. And it's like, no, we're surrounding ourselves with people that love us and want to be in our lives. I don't know what you think we're doing. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, he completely and entirely expected you to collapse at that Dunkin' Donuts table and be like, Dad, I've made a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get back in? Can you please help me? Like, he was expecting that because that's what he's been taught. And why would he believe any differently? He's completely disconnected from you. How would he know that you're actually doing well? I think he truly thought, I'm going to go save my daughter today. And when you gave him the opposite information, he didn't know what to do with that.
No, absolutely. I fully believe that's what he was expecting coming in. I've always been a crier. Like, anytime I am in a like emotional situation or an uncomfortable situation, I cry easily. And I did not shed a tear. I was the calmest I think I've ever been in my entire life. And I was just like, I think that was shocking to him. I think he was expecting tears. I think he was wanting to hear me say we wanted to come back. We'd made a mistake. I think he was hoping I was going to like, collapse at his feet and say, what can I do to have you back? And when I didn't do that, he was like, I wasn't prepared for this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. So yeah, the conversation was less than 30 minutes. And he talked about like, oh, that was one thing when I brought up the CSA stuff. He said, well, you're going to deal with that no matter where you are. You're going to deal with it while your daughter or your kids are in school and this and that. And I said, I understand that that is a reality of the world we live in. There are sick people out there. Totally get that. I said, as our job as parents is to protect our children, to teach our children to protect themselves. And I said, the difference is that this religion is the one place that I was supposed to feel the most comfortable to allow my children around people because they're protected by God. And I said, and when that's not the case, I'm like, that's scary. And that's insane to me.
It's also insane that he's admitting it because that it basically just plays into the whataboutism. So they start with that's not true, denial. And then when they're like, okay, it is true, but that's everywhere. That's just like, well, what about this place where there's abuse? Well, what about this church? There's probably more abuse in the Mormon church. So like, whatever. It's like, that doesn't negate that there's abuse here, though. Like, whataboutism doesn't help anybody. It just shifts the focus. But the focus right now is Jehovah's Witnesses, and we know for a fact that they have been protecting predators and not helping the victims. And so the fact that he went there so quickly from this is lies denial to, well, sure, but it's everywhere. And I hate that so much because, and people say that a lot on our channel too, which I understand. It's an easy defense for people to be like, this person was just abused. Abuse is everywhere. Yeah. It is everywhere, but you know where it's most common? In cults.
Yes.
You know where it happens more frequently, and you know where the predators are most frequently protected? In cults. So sure, it happens everywhere, but why would I place myself or anybody or my children in a position to be more likely abused? I'm going to try to find the safest place, which statistically is not this religion.
Yeah. And I did bring up, I said, because he said that, and then he said, and there's just bad people everywhere. And I said, I get that. Trust me, I understand that. I said, the difference is, again, you claim to be the one true religion, that God is only backing this organization. So why would he not be doing everything in his power to protect the most innocent, and that is children? But he's protecting the predators? Like, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it should literally be, even if there's an accusation, whoever the person is accused, get out. You're no longer allowed here. Police have been called, and we're going to let them handle it. If it's a false accusation, which I'm telling you, children are not falsely accusing people of that happening, then they can figure out how to maybe allow this person back into the organization. But instead, it's like, well, the child's lying. We can't falsely accuse everyone, so we're not going to report them to the police. We might disfellowship this person or maybe like put them on restrictions, but it's like, it's so backwards the way they handle it. And that's what I was trying to like convey to him. And again, they get this like dead look in their eyes where it's like, you can tell they're not listening to a single thing you're saying. Like in their head, he was playing out the whole time, like, how do I get out of this? I have no doubt he was probably praying the whole time because he thinks I'm demonic and have Satan in my life. And it was like closure in a way, because I didn't get that with him to begin with. So I did apologize for one thing. And I said, I'm sorry that we were not more forthright about the fact that we wanted out of this religion. We kind of sprung leaving on them a little bit. Like, my husband's family saw us go inactive, and we were not going to the Kingdom Hall. We were not going to the door-to-door stuff. So they got to kind of witness it build up over like an 8-month period. My parents were more disconnected, so they didn't see that. So for them, it was like, one day I'm just a Jehovah's Witness daughter that's doing everything I'm supposed to in their head. And the next day I'm telling them I'm writing a letter of disassociation, I'm leaving. So I've said, I'm sorry for springing it on you. I should have been more honest. I should have been more open with you guys. I said it was just a very tricky situation on how we were going to get out of this with our children and protect them in that. And he appreciated that, but it was like, he just spent that whole time. It was like talking to a stranger, which is really weird to say when it's your own father. You know, I just knew it wasn't going to go anywhere after those first couple of minutes. I was like, this is pointless. This isn't going anywhere. He ended the conversation with like, well, you know, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. We're always here hoping that you guys will change your minds. And it was like, it was closure in a sense that like, I realized, I think I've held out hope for him for 2 years that something in his brain would shift and he would go, okay, I'm just going to treat her like my worldly brothers and their families.
Yeah.
And I realized nothing is ever going to change. Like, this is how our life will be. My father is in his mid-70s. He's not healthy. And it's sad to say, but I know he has less than probably 15 years, maybe 10. And this may be the last time I actually see him in person. Because I do think it was him seeing, I haven't changed. I'm not coming back. And I don't think I'll hear from him again. Because I haven't heard anything from him since that.
Yeah, that's so difficult. And one thing I wanted to say before my next point to that is, it was very big of you to take some sort of accountability, and I think it is valid to apologize for that. But at the same time, that's they're kind of saying like, well, look what you made me do. Like, you didn't tell me sooner, and look what I have to do now because you left, which still puts the blame on you because they're probably thinking, well, if you didn't leave, then we would still have a relationship. So this is your fault, when in reality, all of the blame should be placed on not just them, but the organization that is causing them to act this way. Because if it weren't for the rules, they would still be in your life. I mean, I feel like that's a given. So, because it doesn't seem like, at least from your story, that they're the type of people who would push you out of their life just for the sake of you having different beliefs. It's very much they're just following the rules because your dad is wanting to make that connection. And the second thing I was going to say is, I guess I don't want to put any false hope, but I do feel like that conversation that you had with him might actually resonate, if not now, but a few years from now. You know, you did plant that seed. You did tell him what you know. He admitted to some capacity, yeah, there's abuse everywhere. Maybe he'll look into it himself. Maybe he won't. More likely he won't. But you did all that you could to make it a possibility for him to come back later and have a future conversation if he chooses to actually have an honest conversation. I don't think he would choose to go back to try and bring you back in again. I think he's smarter than that. But if there is a second conversation, I would bet money that it's because he's actually interested in what you know. And who knows where that could lead. Again, I don't want to put any false hope out there, but I do feel like you did the best that you could.
Yes. No, I'm proud of the way I handled it. I hope that as the dust settles again, hopefully he can see that I, again, wasn't this like crazy off the wall, like screaming, overly emotional person. I hope he can respect that and we can come to a middle ground again at some point. He did bring up again, though, like how I burned bridges by speaking out. And he was like, I don't know if you're still speaking out, but just know that the thing that this is something I should bring up. He said the thing that hurts him the most is that my speaking out has caused some of his family, who are never Jehovah's Witnesses, to form opinions and very strong opinions about the situation. And he was like, some of your cousins that I thought I was very close with have started turning against me. And I was like,
taste of his own medicine,
yeah.
perhaps.
And I was like sitting there going like, oh yeah, actions have consequences. But I told him, I said, I'm like, I'm sorry that's happened. I said, but from speaking with a lot of your family, they have had very strong opinions about the Jehovah's Witness religion before I even said a single word. They could do research. They saw what it was. They didn't like it. I said, if they've formed opinions, it's just because probably what they have already been feeling have been validated by seeing how this situation has been handled. But it was weird. It's like, so that's the most hurtful thing, is that you're like, your family is turning against you. I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good, does it? Like, interesting.
Exactly.
Like,
It's because he
okay.
doesn't have control of that situation. It's not him deciding to put them at arm's length. It's somebody else, and he's realizing that it doesn't feel good when people have opinions of you that aren't true. Or in that
Yep.
case, it is true. But like, he's starting to understand, wait, this isn't how it's supposed to go. I'm still a good person. And he's not realizing that he's doing the exact same thing to you. And also, it's victim blaming yet again, where he's like,
Yes.
how dare you tell people the truth? Because now they're mad at me. And so it's like, come on, you have to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, no, and that's why they don't like people speaking out. And that's why they get like really, they double down. The organization in general doubles down on people who leave and speak out. Like, you avoid them. They're evil. They're like demonic. They're crazy. Because what it does is it gives them a bad name, because we're exposing the truth of what this organization is. So they get extra angry about that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I said, it's been therapy for me to speak out. And if that bothers you, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to stop. Like, sorry, not happening. It was not what I had planned. I was super calm the whole way. Not the whole way. The whole way there, I was like nauseous and shaking in my car. And then I was like super calm during the conversation. I was very proud of the way I handled it. And then when I left, I cried, and I was like in a horrible state of mind for like a solid week. Cause it's just, it just reiterates, like, again, you're sitting there with your father, and he's like, he's not a father. He literally is looking at you like you're some stranger he's never seen. And it's a very horrible feeling. And for those that claim that they don't shun, it's like, no, they absolutely shun. And it's unfortunate, but it's just what they do to keep the control. I just don't think they have lightened their shunning, but only for those who are trying to come back. So had I said, Dad, I made a mistake, I want to come back, how do I get back into the organization? He would probably be blowing up my phone every single day. And he would probably be coming down to see me every week to try and encourage me back into that organization. But because I didn't say that, now he has to double down on his shunning and be like, wow, she's lost. She's a lost cause. Satan has his grasp in her, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and we know that because of the new policy that recently came out, not even a few months ago, right?
Yeah, so they claimed it used to be if you were disfellowshipped, or being disassociated is almost the same as being disfellowshipped anymore in the eyes of the organization. So you can write a letter to resign, basically, or you get in trouble and they kick you out. But you used to be like, don't talk to them, don't look at them. Like I said, the shunning that I deal with, where it's like they see you and they walk the other way and they completely ignore you. That's how it used to be for everyone. Now, if it's somebody who is actively trying to come back and they're going to the meetings and they're, turning in letters to be reinstated in the organization, people can now say a greeting. That's how they said it. You can say a simple greeting. Hello, it's nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Isn't that so loving? That's the extent, though.
Wow, you can say hi.
You can't really go any farther than that. They said not to do like a long, in-depth conversation, but at least just let them know it's nice to see them. But that's only in the Kingdom Hall, pretty much. Or if you're calling them to like invite them back. And it's like, so that was their way of softening the shunning. And it's like, that's not really doing
That's
anything.
even worse, because then it's like you're so close to being back in society and people are opening their mouth and looking at you in your eyes, but then it's shut off. So it's like, no, gotta go.
Yeah. It's nice to see you. Don't ask me how you're doing. I don't care. I don't want to know. It's just hi. So,
Exactly.
but I do think there will probably be more changes to that shunning practice because it's what's getting them in trouble a lot with courts right now. And I could see it getting better, like, and them being a little bit more lenient and being like, it turning into their new thing this year is everything's turning into a personal choice. It's a conscious decision if you do X, Y, or Z. And I could see shunning turning into that. But I do think it won't change for people who are like my husband and myself, who have willingly left and are not wanting to come back. It's only going to continue to be for those who are interested still or just need some motivation to get back into that organization. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
What about your mom? Has she tried to make contact?
Not at all. My mom was like the harshest. She wrote me a letter, like when we turned in our letter to disassociate, that had things said in it that no mother should ever say to their child. Through therapy and stuff, I'm realizing that she was pretty like mentally abusive through the years to me. And I'm like, okay, it's making more sense now, like the way she reacted, because I think she likes to have control over me and my sister and like my father even. And she showed her true self when things did not go the way she wanted it to go. So I have no hope for that ever changing. And I kind of don't really want it to because my life has been more peaceful without her in my life, as sad as that is to say.
What about your kids? Now that they're older, you said one is 6 and you have 3. So, or a 3-year-old, not 3 kids.
Yeah.
So what is their response to all this? Do they ever ask about grandma and grandpa?
Not anymore. So when we left, my son was only 1. He has no memory of them. I don't even think if he sees a photo of them, he would recognize them. My daughter, who is turning 6, literally, when we first left for the first about 6 months, would ask occasionally, like, where's Nana? Where's Bampa? Or like, how come I'm not seeing them? We kind of skirted around the subject for a while. And when it kind of got to this point where we're like, we kind of have to say something. We have to tell her in a way that, oh, her little, at that time, she was like almost 4-year-old brain is going to understand. We just started telling her that they were not being kind. Were not safe people to be around. And we were just kind of hoping that they'll change and become like kinder people. And now that it's been 2 years, she doesn't ask about them. Every once in a while, she will say something about like, Mom, your parents, or Dad, your parents didn't seem very kind. Or because she knows we didn't celebrate holidays. She knows we didn't celebrate birthdays. Um, she was telling us the other day about doing like the Pledge of Allegiance in her class. And we were like, oh yeah, we didn't get to do that as kids. And she'll go, oh, your parents were not nice. So like, that's all she knows is that they just weren't very nice and not very kind. And she has grandparents that she loves more than anything. And I think that's helped her just like kind of move on.
Mm-hmm.
As they get older, I'm sure we'll have to have more in-depth conversations about the reality of the situation. But I think they were young enough that it hasn't really affected them. And I'm thankful for that. Like, they don't have a ton of memories and they're not really lacking any love and support. So I think that also is like, I don't know. I just don't think they really know any different at this point.
And they're living their best life. I realized
Yeah.
when we started talking off camera, I was like, do your kids have Halloween costumes planned? I was like, wait, this is a conversation we could have on the show because you weren't allowed to do Halloween. So
Yeah.
what's it been like for you as a parent to just really lean into that fun stuff with your kids?
It has been so fun. Like, when we first left, I knew like I was going to be a Christmas crazy person because I've always loved everything Christmas. Like, the decorations are beautiful, but every single holiday has turned into like this huge thing for me. And my husband is like, he's like, can we like tone it down a little bit? He's like, you're crazy. But it's been so fun, and just like watching them be normal and not have to stress about anything. I mean, my daughter has had birthday stuff in class and, Pledge of Allegiance and little holiday parties, and she's gone to birthday parties, all of these things that I couldn't do. Even the fact that she has like friends in school, I couldn't do that. I was supposed to keep my distance from everyone. So like, the fact that she has little best friends, it's like truly healing and beautiful to see. And in those like really hard moments, I just have to step back and go like, look at the lives they're living. And I'm okay with like being the one that's had to like kind of take the brunt of this pain so that they get to be living their best life. And they love everything. My daughter is so cute. She wants to decorate every inch of her house for every holiday. And I'm like, let's do it, girlfriend. Let's do it.
I love it. So she doesn't have any concept that the reason you couldn't do these things before was from a religion.
No, no. We just said we
Okay.
were raised differently. That's kind of how we say it. Like, she doesn't even really know what religion is. She doesn't really like have that concept. So we're like, we were just raised differently and had different rules than you. And she's like, that
Yeah.
sounds terrible. And I'm like, it was terrible.
It was. So what are their preferred costumes this year?
So my son is Iron Man, which was a
Yes.
shock to me. Last year he was a fireman, and he's obsessed with cars and everything. But he saw the Iron Man costume and he was like, "That is what I want." And I said, "You've got it." So he's been practicing like the Iron Man hands. He's been
Yeah.
doing that. And my daughter she's obsessed with unicorns. The first year we celebrated Halloween, she was a unicorn, and this year she's a unicorn princess. So she is
Nice.
all set. Yes.
That is a solid combo.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
too
so
cute.
fun. Is there any update you want to give about your husband or anything you think he would be okay with you sharing as far as how he's handling everything?
So he's dealt with a lot more intense shunning than me. Like, obviously, mine is very much, but I've at least had the occasion of my dad reaching out. He has not had any aspect of that, which is unfortunate. I think it's been a really hard thing for him to deal with. But something that has been truly beautiful to witness is his biological dad coming back into his life. His biological father was a Jehovah's Witness as well, and he left when my husband was only like a couple years old. So he has been cut off of my husband's life for that entire time. And my husband has finally gotten to heal a little bit, like getting to know this man and get clarification on things that he was told. And I think it's been really amazing to watch. They look alike, which is so funny to me. My son looks like his grandfather and his dad. And it's just like, it's been really beautiful. And I know it's been really good for my husband to finally have this hole that he's had his entire life finally filled. He has another hole now from the other side, but it's been really good for all of us and for him, especially to have his father come back into his life and just get some clarity and closure that he never thought he was going to get. So
Yeah.
there's some beautiful stuff in the darkness of everything we've dealt with in the last 2 years.
His father was the sole reason he was not allowed to be in his father's life was because he left Jehovah's Witnesses.
Pretty much. His father did deal with some addiction issues, but he tried multiple times through my husband's life to reach out and was shut down because he was a disfellowship Jehovah's Witness. His father has walked a pretty tough path, and he's dealt with a lot of guilt of leaving the organization. And it wasn't until we came into his life that he actually deconstructed from it. He thought he was the problem
Whoa.
for 40 years and that this was the truth. And he was just terrible for not wanting to be in it. And it's been so beautiful to watch both of these men like come together and help each other heal in different ways. So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
What a gift to his dad to be able to have that reconnection and also deconstruct and also heal in that way. Wow, I guess I hadn't considered that leaving, although you're leaving behind the active members, you can reconnect with members who have left also, like your aunt. I
Yeah.
think it's something that maybe doesn't doesn't get talked about as often is the reconnections now that you're both on the outside.
It's awesome. I mean, we have his father. My husband has an aunt as well that left years ago, and like her kids that are like similar age to my husband. We're reconnecting with all these people who we have like common ground with. We know what it's like to be born and raised in this. We know what it's like to leave and experience those losses. And it's easier, I feel like, to almost have a really deeper relationship with those people because you've walked the same path. Like,
Mhm.
it's beautiful. I mean, I have my childhood best friend. We literally grew up together from like 2 years old on. She got disfellowshipped when she was only 21. I was like 20. And I hadn't spoken to her for like 15 years when we left. And it's been nice to reconnect with her. Yeah, you kind of just find those people that didn't deserve it, but now you're getting the same treatment and you can kind of help each other through it and have stronger relationships because of it.
Yeah, you can empathize with each other, and that's also something that isn't talked about a lot is yes, leaving a religion and deconstructing that helps reveal the hidden truths or the lies and the betrayal of the religion itself, but rediscovering a human being is a whole different ballgame when you realize that you've been fed lies about this person and this is who they really are or this is what really happened and you've just been given the wrong narrative the whole time, and they probably had a narrative about you too. And so what a gift to rediscover new friends and new family and to build up those relationships from a common ground.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel very fortunate to have these people in our lives and to get to know the real them. Because again, I was a kid, like when my aunt left, and all I heard was these negative things about her. She is like a
Mhm.
beautiful soul. She's an amazing woman. It's so nice to finally get to meet the real person and see them for who they are. And it's just, I love it. It's been wonderful. And I look forward to years to come with these people in our lives, as well as new people that I'm sure will welcome and have come into our lives as well. Who knows? We may 10 years from now, someone we knew who's in right now could be out in our lives again. So
Yep.
we always have that hope.
And that's the beauty of what you're doing specifically, speaking out and being public about it. I noticed when I started doing that with Mormonism, I had people from my high school reaching out to me like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I have some questions for you. And it is cool to be in a position to help those go through something that, like you said, you yourself have been through. And you're kind of paving a way for those and being that beacon of light so people can go, oh, I have this question, and I've had people tell me, I can't go to my family about this and I can't go to my friends. Can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah, let's talk because I know what it's like to feel isolated and not have anyone to vent to or ask questions to without being judged. So it's great that you're providing that for your friends and family, like you said, who may leave and know who to go to
Yeah.
when they have questions.
Yes. They're like, she's a vocal apostate. She's someone I can trust talking to.
Her. Yeah, because they also know you, right? They know
Yeah.
your character
Yeah.
and they know that you were a good person in Jehovah's Witnesses, and now that they've deconstructed that, they realize, "Oh, she is still a good person. I've just been fed all these lies about her." So, do you have any other updates that you wanna give our audience since we last spoke a few months ago?
That's the biggest update was, getting to see my father after 2 years. One thing that I've really, really enjoyed, like, speaking out on your channel and then, doing more on mine is it's really opened the door to finding so many people who have walked the same path. I have had a lot of conversations with people who are in the midst of deconstructing and they need just a listening ear. And I have always been a very like, I didn't think I was social. It's funny. I always thought I was like majorly introverted, but I realized it was just the culture I was in. I just felt like uncomfortable being myself. So it's been so nice to kind of have so many people coming to me and speaking with me and kind of creating bonds with people. And I hope my goal is always to be a safe place for someone, and I'm finding more and more and more, like, people reaching out. They see me on your channel or somewhere else, and they feel comfortable enough coming to me, and to me, that's, like, one of the biggest blessings in all of this, is being that person for somebody else. Because I didn't have that. I had my husband to talk to, but
Yeah.
I talked to him about everything. Like, when you find somebody that you can, like, feel comfortable enough to go to, it's a great thing, and I'm, like, feel very blessed to be able to be in the position I am and to speak out so people feel comfortable coming to me.
That's so great. I'm so happy that you've had a positive response since coming on our channel and obviously having your own platform to do that as well. So let's get your Linda Listen moment. I didn't
Oh
prepare you for
gosh.
this.
I
Can you
know.
think of
Let me
one?
think about this. I have one since we're talking about shunning.
Yeah,
I feel like I may have done this for the last one, but we'll
that's
see.
okay.
Linda, listen. If you encounter a Jehovah's Witness and they claim they don't shun, just show them a few videos of how shunning actually does happen and help these people to see that shunning is not nice and it's not loving. And that's about all I can say. I don't know.
That's all we need to say. Don't do it.
Like, I just find it so funny that they claim that they don't shun, and it's like, it's very obvious that they do shun.
Does the organization itself come out and say, we don't think that you should shun? Because I feel like Mormonism does that all the time. When they get called out for something, they're like, oh, we never said that, even though you could find it on their website. I wonder if those people who are saying it doesn't happen have been getting similar messages from leadership.
Oh, definitely not. No. I know one of the governing bodies, like, members doubled down on it and was like, they're asking us to change our shunning arrangement, and we are not going to do that because it's in the Bible and God has asked us to do this.
Wait, where is it in the Bible?
They claim it's because of the scripture where it's like, you shouldn't even eat with a sinner. I don't know what scripture it
Oh,
is, but there's a scripture about
jeez.
not even sitting to eat with the sinner, and it's like,
Didn't
but
Jesus eat with the
Jesus,
sinners?
yeah, like known sinners
Guys.
and tax collectors and everything. So, yeah, no, they just do it for the look on the outside of people looking in. Like, we don't do that. Of course, we would never do that. When in the reality, they're told we do this, and it's loving to do this, and we're gonna not stop doing this. So,
Okay. Well, anyways,
yeah.
this was a fantastic update. And I also loved our conversation on your channel. This is a reminder, guys, if you have made it this far and you have not seen the conversation we just had on Alyssa's channel, go check it out. It should be published the same day, where we get into how Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses are sister cults and all the similarities and differences. Check out Alyssa's channel. Alyssa, tell everyone where they can find you.
Yes, I am just at home with Alissa on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm across the board, and I'm mostly active on YouTube, though. That's where I'm focusing right now. So, at home with Alissa.
All right. Amazing. Thanks for coming back, Alyssa. It was fun.
Yes, this was nice to chat with you today. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Elise.
I feel like I should rephrase. It's not fun to talk about traumatic things,
Well,
but it's fun to
no.
have conversations about
Yes.
the reasons why we think these things happen. And it's fun to, like we said earlier, like-minded person being able to deconstruct all of these things and analyze it and talk about how things can be different. So I appreciate you doing that with me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it too. It was nice chatting today.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave those words of encouragement for Alyssa down below. Go check out her channel, check out our conversation. The best way to support our show is engaging with this post, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. If you're interested in shorter clips, we do have a clips channel. That link is in the description, where you can find 8 to 10 minute clips of previous guests. If you want to support further, we have a Patreon at patreon.com/cults to consciousness. One of our newest patrons, Mercedes, thank you so much for buying the year subscription. That means so much to us. We really appreciate you and your support. And we do have some merch at cultstoconsciousness.com. And if you like this video, I'll link 2 more down here below. We have so many amazing ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that have been on the channel. Of course, Alyssa's video. We have some with Bethany. We have Owen Morgan. We have so many awesome people. I don't even want to just list them all. Go check out the playlist. And until next time, follow your highest excitement, be conscious, and be well.